got a text message from the woman who ruined my life. I've been wanting to tell this story on here for a while, but honestly, every time I start talking about it, I start crying. So I'm just gonna try to use this anger to push through it. This woman, oh my God, this woman has all the fucking gall in the world. So she doesn't actually know that she ruined my life yet. So basically, my previous apartment was the perfect apartment for me. When I walked into that apartment, I knew that would be my home until I owned a home or I left the city or got married. It was a studio apartment. It had windows on two sides. It was exposed brick. It was beautiful. It was light, it was airy, and I had been living in this basement apartment for 2 years, and it was like all I needed. And I moved in and I knew, and I was set. That was my home, right? So 6 years go by and I have curated that place to the nines. It is perfect. I live there, I work there, it's perfect, it's beautiful. 6 years and I'm still going strong. The incredible thing is, at that time, my building is covered by loft law, because basically it used to be like a bunch of manufacturing buildings and they got converted into units, like apartment units that were not up to code, and then, you know, the owners basically moved, let people live there and charge them rent like they were units. So loft law basically protects the tenants from quite a few things. Number one, they can't raise your rent on you. They can't fucking raise your rent on you. However, if they ever bring the apartments back up to code, or up to code in the first place, then you are grandfathered in and you are entitled to a rent regulated apartment, right? A regulated apartment, not an unregulated apartment. However, you have to have been a tenant that was covered by loft law. You have to be a loft law tenant. All right. So a few years ago, there's a fire in the building. One of the units catches fire, some shitty electricity thing, part of the whole risk of loft law. 2 units burn out. It's rough. The owners, after about a year, decide to sell. They sell. It is purchased by some shitty fucking management company. Fine. So they decide that they're going to bring all the units up to code. It's very clear. That's the plan, right? They purchase this whole big old building full of tenants covered by loft law. They're going to invest the money to bring it all up to code, and then they'll be able to charge a lot more rent. However, any units that, any tenants that stick behind will be entitled to being grandfathered in to that, regulated unit. However, if any people move out before that switch or during that switch, they will be moving into unregulated apartments, okay? Unregulated apartments means they can basically ratchet up the rent as much as they want each year. And when they, the tenants switch out, they can do the same. They can do so much in an unregulated apartment, as you can tell by the name. So they start construction. The pandemic hits. Construction is put on pause, just across the city. Finally, they get permission to continue construction. This woman, she does not live in my building, but apparently this woman has nothing better to do with her life, and I mean nothing better to do with her life than to ensure that absolutely no construction happens anywhere on the block. And I know this for a fact because I've gone back years. You can look up 311 calls and look up the history of 311 calls in New York City, and I can see the same woman has been submitting the same types of reports for years for any construction happening on our entire fucking block. So this woman, I'm not gonna say exactly why, because even though she doesn't deserve fucking privacy, I'm a better person than she is. So she happens to know exactly what you can do or what you can say to 311 in order to stop construction immediately. Basically, safety concerns. You can report safety concerns. And if you report a safety concern, the Department of Buildings, the DOB, basically has to shut down construction, has to issue a stop work order immediately until they can send someone out to inspect it and like say everything's okay. So this woman begins her reports, and you can look them up. I don't have my computer in front of me. You know, I was going through them report by report. She doesn't live in my building. She lives behind my building, okay? In fact, I learned that I could actually look out my back window and look out and see like her like backyard porch thing, whatever. So construction starts, it stops. It starts back up again. I get an 8-foot by 8-foot hole put through my fucking wall to the outdoors, okay? They're trying to expand it. They're trying to expand my window. They have to expand it to get it up to code, right? So 8-foot by 8-foot hole into the fucking brick. It's my main window where I get most of my sunlight from. And then the stop work order comes through. The stop work order comes through. I now have an 8-foot by 8-foot hole through my wall, covered in plywood. Then all my furniture is like basically moved back from that space against my wall. Plastic is put up, right? And this is during the fucking pandemic. This is during lockdown. So I can't leave my apartment at this point. Everything is shut down. My apartment is my workplace. It is my home. It is my everything. It's all I have. It's a studio fucking apartment. It's a studio apartment. I spend almost an entire fucking year like this. An entire year. And between that and a bunch of other shit that was going down with the pandemic, but especially that, my fucking brain broke, okay? I get panic attacks because of this woman. I stopped being able to write. I stopped eating. I got underweight. I'm getting emotional again, but all of this, I spent a year of fucking hell thanks to this woman, just for no fucking reason other than she wants to stop any construction happening. Anyway, several tenants start leaving because I'm not the only one in a situation like this, okay? Mid-construction, paused for 9 months. I'm not the only one. And every time, by the way, every time a stop work order is lifted, because it would take months for an inspection to go through because it's pandemic and everything is slow, everything is shut down anyway, they would send someone out, it would get lifted because the reports were fucking bogus. She would get it shut back down within a matter of weeks, or like days sometimes. Days. All right. Eventually, after all this, I am so fucking broken and depressed. I agree to move to another unit in my building. However, as part of this agreement, I have to give up all of my loft law protections. Yeah, so basically, not only did this woman put me through a year of absolute hell, lockdown with a whole, by the way, I went through New York City winter like that. Just plywood in front of that fucking hole. Just plywood. Not only did she put me through that, I then gave up all of my fucking tenant protections because of her. I lost all of the protections I had guaranteed to me by the law. All of them. And I'm still in my old building, but I am in an apartment that I don't feel the same about. Because also, by the way, when I agreed to switch units, they had, ironically, also busted a hole through that wall, but they were like, all they had to do was put the glass in, and they were like just about ready to do it. Like, mine still needed all the brickwork and stuff, whatever. Once I moved, she got construction shut down again, to the point where my landlords said, fuck it. They gave up and they bricked that hole back up. So I moved into an apartment under the assumption that there was going to be a window that was going to provide most of the light to the rest of my unit. She even ruined that. She even ruined that. Oh, and before I forget, this whole time that she was doing this, when she would make reports to 311, she said like, oh, the tenants are in danger, or oh, you know, it's like unfair to the tenants and stuff. However, she had a lawyer basically meet with my landlords who were like begging her to stop. And the lawyer was like, she will stop if you pay $200,000. It was blackmail. So why did she text me? If you're here because of the cat videos, this fucking woman, this nosy Nelly, this everybody's business bitch, she's one of the people I have to go through to be able to trap the cats. Okay? And this bitch, so I emailed, I was told by someone that, oh, I actually wouldn't have to go through her, so I finally felt comfortable enough emailing this like organization. No, apparently I do. Apparently I have to meet up with her and get a fucking welcome wagon tour from her. She has no idea what she did to me. However, in her fucking text message, because I mentioned where I live, right? Because it's important. It's, you know, whatever. She was like, oh, yeah, I've heard a lot about your building and your landlords and all of the terrible things they've done. I forgot what she said. I've heard all about how your landlords have forced tenants out. God help me, I don't think I can meet up with that woman in person.